At the time I'm making this video, we are exactly 41 days away from the election, perhaps one of the most important elections in American history. And I'm not just saying that because Donald Trump said, although he says it because he's so self-important and egotistical, that he can't see past his own ego, his own failings, but because the results of this election could chart the course of what happens in this country for generations to come. But I want to speak to my African American brothers and sisters out there who are announcing their intentions to vote for Donald Trump. I keep asking this of every Donald Trump supporter, black and white and Mexican and Middle Eastern and everything in between. Why should I, as an African American man, as a black man in America, who have seen the racism that Donald Trump has peddled for years, who understands his damaged history when it comes to racism, why should I, as a black man, vote for Donald Trump? I've asked this question of so many people, so many Donald Trump supporters, and none of them will give me a clear-cut answer. They just repeat everything he did during his first 4 years. Low inflation, blah, 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 and all that other crap. And completely ignore the fact that race relations, when it came to Donald Trump's administration, were at an all-time low. That his own supporters were pushing for civil wars. That one of his own followers went into a church, but mind you, this was before he was elected, but one of his followers, espousing white supremacy rhetoric and white replacement theory, went into a church and gunned down innocent people at a Bible study. That one of his supporters screamed about white replacement theory and the invasion, the quote-unquote invasion from the southern border, that he went into a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, and gunned down Latino people of Latin American descent. Rhetoric like that can be traced directly back to Donald Trump. So I ask again, why as a black man should I risk my life, my freedom, to risk my family's lives and freedom on a man who has a damaged history like Donald Trump when it comes to race? And this isn't coming from a vacuum. This is coming directly from Donald Trump's own mouth. Every time Donald Trump had a chance as President of the United States in his first 4 years to prove he can be a true President of the United States, he has failed immensely. When the George Floyd tapes were exposed to the rest of the country, to the rest of the world, he didn't say 2 words about them. He didn't call for justice. He didn't call for calm. He just let American cities burn. And to this day, I still condemn the violence that happened in Minnesota and elsewhere in this country. However, I understand the reason it happened. It happened because a system of government, our judicial system, that still has the needle pointed against African Americans and people of color in this country. That when a police officer commits a crime, that police officer rarely sees any kind of judgment. And Donald Trump, in the last few months in this campaign for 2024, has proposed to give complete and total immunity complete and total immunity to police officers who cross the line, up to and including the murder of unarmed civilians. And those civilians and those targets will be, unfortunately, people of color and more specifically African Americans. It's an unfortunate reality, but it is the reality. So I ask again, why should I, as an African American man, a man who still believes in this country, regardless of all the bad things that have happened, regardless of everything that the hell that this country has been through, I still believe in the flag. I still believe in our Constitution. But why would I risk my freedom, my life, the lives of my family, the freedoms of my family on someone like Donald Trump, who has had a damning, destructive history of racism? And that racism is going to be pushed to the tenfold if he gets back to in office. Because he sees African Americans as the people who cost him the White House. I know what I am talking about. This is not hyperbole. He has said it. He has shown absolutely no respect for African Americans in this country. When he had a chance to show that he does, he doesn't. When the Unite the Right March happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, when the Ku Klux Klan and neo-Nazis marched outside the campus of the University of Virginia, and they were saying, Jews will not replace us. And not too long after, a woman was killed, counter-protesting those vermin. Whose side did Donald Trump take? Did he take the side of the woman who was killed? Did he take the side of the Americans who counter-protested against the Ku Klux Klan and the neo-Nazis? No. He took the side of the neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan by saying there are many fine people on many sides. There are fine people on many sides. No. The only fine people that day were the Americans who counter-protested the vermin of the neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan, screaming anti-Semitic rhetoric. And days later, he had to be forced to apologize for that. He had to be forced to mention Heather Heyer's name days later. Again, why as a black man would I risk my freedom and my life to support Donald Trump getting him back in the White House? Whenever a disaster hit this country, whether it was a hurricane hitting in Houston or a hurricane knocking out power and costing lives in Puerto Rico, Donald Trump had the ultimate chance to show himself to be a leader. He failed miserably. And the only time he ever went to a disaster site was for a photo op. The only time he ever mentions any disaster that happens is so he can get good press on Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax from his true believers falling on their knees for him. He does not care about us. He never has cared about us. So again, why as a black man, as an Afro-American in this country, would I want to risk my life and my freedoms guaranteed to me by the Constitution, a Constitution that Donald Trump himself wanted to end because he lost an election? His own words, not mine, his. Why would I want to risk all of that for supporting Donald Trump? I have asked this question so many times and I have not gotten a clear answer. Maybe you can. Maybe all of you watching this video can tell me that answer. I invite you to answer me. But you can't. You can't, because the simple fact is it's not worth that risk. And this is not me being a Kamala Harris supporter. This is me telling you the truth. Donald Trump has done absolutely nothing for me to risk that much. And as I said earlier before, when it came for him to act as a president, he failed. The number one example I can give you above all else, COVID-19. The nightmare of the COVID-19 virus that hit this country. Now, mind you, I'm not saying he could have stopped it. He could have gotten us ready for it. He could have trusted the science and gotten us ready for the onslaught. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Ebola was the big thing during the Obama administration. And yes, people died from it. But here's the thing about this. When it happened and those people died, everybody and their own mama wanted Obama's head in a noose. Why not Donald Trump's? Obama was president, and the number of people who died during the Ebola crisis was small. Not that I'm discounting them, but it wasn't the nightmare we had during Donald Trump's mishandling of the COVID-19 virus. It was nowhere near that. But Donald Trump did not get us ready for it. Now again, it's hard to get ready for a virus. But we had weeks of a possibility of this virus hitting this country. And what did Donald Trump do to get us ready for it? The answer is nothing. He didn't get us ready for it. For God's sakes, the Obama administration gave him a guide on how to handle situations like this. He didn't even pick up the book and got us ready for it. The fact is this. This is a man you cannot trust in a crisis, especially as big as a viral infection in a pandemic. He had every opportunity to act as a president, as a leader in a crisis. He refused to do so. And because of that, lockdowns happened. Our economy tanked. An economy, mind you, that he inherited from the Obama administration. He let tank because he was ineffective. He didn't trust the science of the situation and kept saying that it's going to disappear. It's going to disappear. It's all going to disappear. Or in the worst case, all you need is light. All you need is UV rays. All you need is light. What about injecting bleach into you? So the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, I keep asking the question, why as a man, as a black man in this country, would I risk my life and my freedom, the freedoms of my family and the lives of my family? And yes, a lot of them are Afro-American. Why would I risk that, all of them, to support Donald Trump, who has not only a history of racism, but a deadly history of malfeasance and negligence that have led to the deaths of over 1 million Americans? Why would I risk all of that? But another thing I want to talk about is when the time came, an election happened, and more to the point, when this country rejected him, when this country actually rejected him at the ballot box, Donald Trump was rejected by millions of Americans who saw what kind of a monster he was. When the time came for him to step aside and while he was constitutionally mandated to do, what did he do? He didn't step aside. He didn't walk away. He didn't say, I lost this election. It's time for me to move on. When people in the courts said that you lost, Donald, when a lot of Americans recounted the votes, when they recounted and recounted and recounted the votes, all confirming Donald Trump lost the election, what was his reaction? He lied. He disinformed. He spread all kinds of conspiracy theories, saying that the election was stolen from him, when investigation after investigation has shown that it wasn't the Democrats who stole the election from him. It was Donald Trump who tried to steal the election. And when all those plans failed, and all those plans were uncovered by investigation that Trump tried to steal this election, what did he do? He incited a terrorist attack on our country, screaming, "Fight like hell." And his supporters followed suit. And for 187 minutes, police officers at the United States Capitol were beaten to the point of some of them actually committing suicide. They were beaten and came within inches of actually assassinating congressmen and senators who wouldn't play Donald Trump's game. And what really gets me about this is that the Trump supporters have not taken any kind of responsibility for it. To this day, Donald Trump continues to call them political hostages or patriots. They're not patriots. They're criminals. Let that be me who decides to do something like that. Not just in Washington, D.C., but anywhere in this country, attacking any state capitol or government building. And we all know what the results would be. I wouldn't be arrested. I would be shot to death. Those are the facts. It's unfortunate for me to say that, but those are the facts, and that is the truth. And now Donald Trump has escaped punishment and escaped responsibility again. And now he's about to be possibly reelected as president of the United States. It's very nice to have a terrorist as president. So again, I ask the question, why, as an African American man, would I risk my life and my freedom supporting a man like Donald Trump getting back in the White House? A man who has a history of terroristic behavior against his own country. No one has given me a clear answer on that. No one. No one. The answer is, I am not going to risk it. I'm not going to risk this nightmare coming back into the White House. I'm not going to support him. And if he's reelected, I'm definitely not going to support him. Because quite honestly, why should I support him? He's never supported anyone else in this country outside of his own pocketbook. Why should I support a man who was convicted of 37 felony counts? A man who is still under indictment for now for holding and possibly even distributing classified materials. Why should I support a man who called for an attack on our own country because he lost an election? Why should I support a man who has made extravagant threats about ripping this country, his constitution, and our freedoms apart, all for the sake of retribution? His words, retribution. Why would I risk my life and my freedoms on a man like Donald Trump who will and can and obviously would blow this country to hell just because we committed the egregious sin of not bowing before him like he's the golden calf just on the slopes of Mount Sinai. Yeah, I'm going biblical on your asses. So maybe you can answer the question for me, because I still haven't gotten a clear-cut answer. Why should I, as an African-American man, proud of his heritage, proud of his country, proud of the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes of the flag, proud of that document that's called the United States Constitution, proud of the nearly 250 years of our country, proud of it fighting for the freedom of others, proud of it changing the Constitution to accommodate all people of all races and creeds and religions and sexual orientations and sexual identities, proud of all of that. Why would I risk all of that on a man who is the very antithesis of evil, who is the antithesis of everything this country has fought against for those nearly 250 years? Why would I risk all of that? If you Trumpers are watching this video, maybe, just maybe, you can give me a clear answer without falling back on those old tropes of inflation and taxes and everything else. Money is a very, 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 very minuscule issue in my life right now. I care about my freedom. I care about my constitutional rights. I care about my life. I care about my family's freedom. I care about my family's constitutional rights. I care about my family's life. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't care about your family's life. Maybe that's what the problem is. But maybe you can give me the answer. And I'm going to ask this question one more time, and I'm going to close out this video. Why should I, as a black man, as an Afro-American man, a man who believes in our Constitution, who believes in the flag, who believes in what this country stands for, has stood for, has fought for over 250 years, nearly 250 years, why would I risk all of that on a man who can and who will blow us to hell if he's not worshipped? I'm sorry for this video for being so long. No, actually, I'm not going to apologize for that. I need to say what needed to be said. We are running out of time. We are a little more than 40 days away from the next election. An election that could save or kill our country. In the end of the day, this is what we're faced with. Regardless of how you feel about Kamala Harris, whether you want to call her race into question, whether you want to call the fact that she's a woman into question, regardless of what's happened in the last 4 years as her being vice president, she is a damn sight better than the alternative. And the alternative is national suicide. CTP, you know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.